Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, a.k.a. the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week we have a little bit different scenery, but we have two revisiting guests. We got Todd Gentry, Jaime Tuff, and from the MMG squad we got Dre. So thank you everyone for joining in for today's podcast. Today is going to be a little bit different. I don't think we're going to probably be doing a lot of business talk or a lot of marketing talk. But
Maybe we will.
But you guys both live in the car business, and I feel like that is a ever-changing space that is different week over week, and kind of wanted to hit on what you guys are seeing in the space right now, and then also get into some of the craziest fucking car stories you've ever had. So, what does the car space look like right now?
Well, guess I'll go. I mean, the market's changing every day on used. That's where I spend most of my life is used. So it's up and down, up and down. Like 3 months ago, everything was on the downward spiral kind of feeling like, and then whatever happened, it went right back up like crazy. So I feel like everyone kind of scared sold. Kind of got slow for like 2 weeks, and everyone just dumped all their inventory. And then we came into tax season, and everyone jumped back in and like, oh my God, I don't have any cars. Let's go buy them. So it took the market up crazy again. That's the most current thing I've been seeing on the used side mostly is inventory is back at a all-time hardness of getting inventory brought into the dealership.
When you talk about people being scared in the space, do you think it has something to do with Carvana right now? I feel like it's all over the news, and they are just sucking wind and spiraling out of control.
Grasping at straws. Trying to anything they can do.
And I feel like a lot of times when that big, I think a lot of people think they're a player in the game.
Yeah.
Just because they're the size that they are. But what most people don't understand is their business model is something that is completely different than everything in the space. So when it's 100% different, I don't think it's the car space that's failing them. I think it's their business model. I think their business model is flawed. I think their buying is flawed. I think a lot of things that they've done are not correct. They have lawsuits all over the country. So I think when people see that, I know I've talked to people that know absolutely nothing about the car space. Yeah, and they're like, well, car business is, used market fell off. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, I read this article that Carvana lost this many billions of dollars or whatever. I'm like, that's just because it's a shitty business. Like, I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the car business.
Yeah.
Per se. You know.
So do you think that's something that is weighing on people? For sure.
I mean, they're huge in the market, right? So people all have heard of them because they spent all that money on advertising to be known. But again, like you said, they're in their own little world of what they're doing, right? They tried something, doesn't seem like it worked the greatest, but you see it because they're in the daily news, they're everywhere, and people that aren't in this business, they see that. The guys that have been around forever, it didn't affect us like what they were doing is not affecting us as hard as we may have thought it was going to. It was kind of like, what the heck are these guys doing? No. But we all, since the beginning of time, we just figure it out and we jump in and we keep doing what we do, right? So now we deliver cars all over America. Every single day we're delivering a car somewhere.
Yeah, I'm appreciative for Carvana, honestly.
Yeah,
it made us level up.
Yeah.
But I think that the reason it is in the news is because, how many shareholders are at Gary Crossley Ford?
Yeah.
There's 154 employees and their families.
Right.
But other than that, right? That's what I would consider their shareholders. Carvana is thousands and thousands and thousands of people, so it gets talked about.
Right.
Yeah. And when you talk about, I think it leveled up car dealers on a in the aspect of opening up their eyes to what marketing and execution nationwide can be. Mm-hmm. I just don't think they have executed it correctly at all. Like, I think that they have. Look at their reviews. I think reviews speak volumes about any business. Their customer service is not there. That personal touch is not there. They're hiring people that are $12 an hour employees that have no earthly idea what they're doing, and that's supposed to be the person that takes care of you. You do a transaction all online, and you get a vehicle. I mean, we all know from buying cars at the auction what CRs look like. They're doing pretty much the same thing. They're just throwing it to the public,
Right.
and then it gets passed on, and people aren't happy with it.
Right.
You put your eyes on a car, you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Like either one of you guys.
I mean, we watched it for when they were starting. We watched it every day. They're buying this car in the lane. They're online. They see it on the driver's side, and the passenger side it's destroyed. And we're all like, okay, they're just buying it and paying all the money in the world for it, right? We watched it every day back 5 years ago when all this stuff started hard, and I mean, they just passed the buck. So
yeah, I think
it caught them. It caught up with them. You know,
they're bidding against trash cans most of the time.
a lot of times.
But
Poles.
Yeah, poles, trash cans.
anything that was farther than the camera could see.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But on the used side, like acquiring of inventory is difficult right now.
Right.
But you guys are seeing the clientele coming in looking for the vehicle still,
Every
right?
day. Yeah. All day, every day, we're still selling used. We're still moving it. It's just we're trying to grow to the next level, which is why it's a little bit more difficult right now for us, right? We're taking us and trying to double up on used, which is it's not an overnight thing, which we were hoping maybe we could get a little closer.
We were hopeful.
But, I buy 30 cars, we sell 50. So it's like, it's a great thing. It's just trying to build us up to the next level and get doubled up is it's taking a little bit longer than I thought it might be.
I think that's what a lot of dealerships discount right now is they're having a hard time finding inventory, but they're not focusing on selling the inventory they already have.
You see that a lot too. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've seen quite a few dealers go under just in the past 3 years of them sitting there. They're like, well, if we sell all of our inventory, how are we going to get more? I'm like, that should be tomorrow's problem.
Yeah.
And you should focus on selling what you currently have because to free up a floor, that's a must for some dealers.
Right.
And next thing we know is, 60, 90 days?
No, we sat in on a meeting that we had a dealer that we were talking to about doing marketing. The guy's like, well, our biggest problem is we can't reacquire our inventory. I go, sir, you tell me you're just starting a fucking collection? Because that's what it seems like.
So they're not selling them.
I go, you've sold 3 cars last month. 3.
And it was a decent-sized store.
Yeah, and I'm like, and all they're focusing on is how to acquire more vehicles if they sold cars. I'm like, there's a lot of people that can buy cars and buy cars wrong or whatever. Look at Carvana; they can buy a shit ton of cars. What really deems a car dealership is if they can sell them,
Right.
they can retain clients, if they can make lifelong customers. That's what builds empires in the car space.
Yeah.
So it's like when you look at that side of it, the selling of the cars is the first thing. Acquisition of cars comes second. And I know most of the time people want to try to reverse that. But if you can't sell cars, you should never be buying cars. So it's like...
Well, there's no better way to get a car than to sell one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You sell a car, you get a trade. You focus on different inventory.
And that's what we kind of started tackling.
Yeah, you start. I think a lot of guys focus because right now rates are high, right? So everybody's like, oh, I need cheap cars, I need cheap cars, I need cheap cars. So you overlook $40,000 and $50,000 stuff that you should be buying to get the $20,000 car.
Correct.
And
then you have the inventory, and I think some people forget. To your point, Dre, people forget about it. It's like, well, we need cars. Well, quit buying $5,000 cars.
You know what you don't get on a $5,000 car? A good trade.
Yeah,
If you get anything,
not going to happen.
it's not going to be a good one.
If you get a trade, right? Yeah.
I walked here. I need a $5,000 car.
Yeah.
I'm not paying a penny over.
Yeah.
So on buying cars into the trade side, when you say rates are high right now, what are rates at right now? Like, say A paper, which explain
Yeah,
to people.
your top tier credit wise people are 7.
Yeah, 6%. Anything in the 6s is like a gift right now.
Yeah, it really is.
Which there again, the new cars they see that kind of stuff, so they start advertising 0% for 36 and 0.9 for 48, or sometimes 0 for 60 in some cases, like on a 22 F-150. So then, that plays a big factor on what your used car's worth, when you're looking at it from a payment perspective. So, it's just, as far as the car space goes, it's kind of one of those things. If you don't have your eye on the ball today, you can't follow the trend, right? So that guy that's focusing on acquiring inventory, that's what we were doing 3 years ago. Right. 3 years ago when people were, you could buy them out of a car they bought 2 years ago and they could make money on it. That's what we were doing 3 years ago. And now you're doing it, then it's too late. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Unfortunately. So I think that plays a big factor into it too.
Do you think some of, and I'm not in it every day, so I don't know what the market looks like today on vehicles all over, but I know vehicles that were bringing crazy amounts over MSRP that people were paying, and they were just, are you seeing those people back in yet? Because I know a lot of times it runs a average trade cycle is like 2 years?
Yeah, the average trade cycles went up. I mean, it was 2 to 3 years ago. 2 to 3 years about 7-8 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, now it's 5. People are kind of hanging on to their stuff a little bit longer now. It seems
5
to me,
years?
anyways. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the trade cycle.
You take notes,
changing,
Dre.
but-
We're on too fast of trade cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing them hold there longer. Also, due to the fact that like a good rate 6 right now, like, is a great rate right now. So if you're in a 2 or a 3, that's been one of the, you have to be more salesy to get that move to happen.
So are you saying salespeople are having to be trained on sales again?
Yeah, they are.
Absolutely.
Weird, crazy thing, but yeah, we have 3 years of not having to really sell other than just chuck keys and.
Do you
sign
like
for
it?
people.
Perfect. You got
there you
it.
go. Oh, you don't want it? That's great. This guy does. He's literally standing right here, waiting for you to say no, so he could buy it.
And that was a difficult thing to overcome when the market was the way it was. Is we would literally have salespeople answer, and to no fault of them, but they would answer the phone, and the customer's like, "All right, well, I'll be up there tonight," and they would literally, because we listened to the phone calls, they would literally say, "It's not going to be here tonight."
If you can get here now, it'll be here.
if you don't say yes, it's gone.
It's gone.
And then management screening calls. This is what he said to me, and well, sir, it is true, but we'd obviously have to talk to the salesperson because that's not the way to handle the call. But
Sure.
But yeah, so now we're having to train salespeople, which I mean, our employee retention is still extremely high. Especially, I mean, it's probably one of the best. I mean, I'm sure we're in the top 5% of the nation on our employee retention. I mean, we do. We've got a good team. So, I mean, they're taking the training. And I mean, obviously, it's a little bit difficult at first because they're like, well, I don't know what to do. And then, I was sitting in my chair and I'm like, well, shit, I haven't trained you what to do. You know what I mean? Because I hired you when people were calling in saying, I'll take it.
We haven't had that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We haven't had that question in 4 years.
Yeah, so we've really had to look. I mean, me personally, anyways, I've had to look in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm not giving these guys the tools that they need to be successful. So I've got to reel back because I was selling cars when you had to sell cars, and we were doing training and everything when we had to sell cars. So we've kind of had to go back to that, which is good because it has changed a little bit too how you sell the car, right? I mean, even though we have to sell now, even that's changed.
Yeah.
So it's different word tracks and different ways to handle the relationship
And I think we were talking about today on the sales side of how different our space is getting with actually selling people. And that I'm going to say 5 years ago, people were still doing it hard. The dealership commercials of "come on down this weekend, get blah blah blah," like that space is gone.
Hey, I remember hanging balloons out in the front of the dealership.
Balloons sell cars, but I don't care what you say. Balloons to this day will sell a car.
But it's
All right.
hey, I will say doing anything to seem like something is going on gravitates people.
Yeah.
And I think it's also when you take a bunch of salespeople who are just sitting around doing nothing, you'll get them moving, and you get something happening, something stirs up.
Sure.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like customers are getting more educated on what they're talking, like what they know. That they're becoming educated on the market. They're becoming educated on vehicle values. They're becoming educated on these different things to where your position of selling looks way different now. Where 25 years ago, I was roughly like 3 years old. But like you watch these movies and you think about how it worked. The internet wasn't a thing. Like all these different things. Like you could go in and a car dealership could just throw out a random ass price. Like you didn't know what all of them were priced at around.
All it showed me on the car was 2,000 down. What do I need to do for it?
And now you're looking at if you have a 2020 or 2023 brand new F-150 hit slot, there's probably 10 other ones in Kansas City or within 50 miles of where I sit or more.
Yeah.
Or whatever that number is. So now what makes you different?
It goes back to building relationships, and that's where a lot of these, with me just transferring from TDR down here to Gary Crossley Ford, which one of the reasons they have the highest employee retention, it's the most amazing place I've ever been, on top of the way they take care of their employees is unreal, right? You're not going to get a better deal for an employee than you are any other dealership, not only in Kansas City, but probably the whole country. They take care of their employees. And that's awesome because a lot of places don't. We kind of, especially the last 3 years, like just get people in so they can answer a phone and just, you could have made anybody a car salesman.
Oh, yeah. There's monkeys selling cars all over the place. They're now all of a sudden like they're ending up back at what their skill level actually deems, which is a job that they were in a job that they actually didn't qualify for.
Right.
But they were grabbing keys, signing paperwork that's what they did.
And now you're starting to see the guys that know how to build a relationship are coming back again, and they are an actual salesperson, right? They're not an order taker. They're not just filling paperwork out and handing keys anymore. You got to go back to building that relationship, building friendships, building and taking care of the people that we've always taken care of over the last 100 years of cars. That has to come back now, right? Because most of us, for me, Todd, and you guys too, like we never quit, right? Our friends are who we took care of the whole time, and that we've in relationships in the car business we made. But a lot of guys got away from that, and so you have to get that back in there again.
I lost respect for a lot of people in the car space too when it's during those times that I know cars are bringing over MSRP. I understand that, and it was like I would contact those people that I have people that I'm friends with that need to buy cars and things like that, and I broker a lot of car deals still, and I send people to the people I trust that will take care of that person. I know that they will get taken care of because I'm still putting my name up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, is there any benefit for me financially or anything across? No, it's just doing the right thing at the right time to help that person and building that relationship for someone else. But it's like I had people that they're like, yeah, I contact so-and-so. He told me it was going to be $20,000 over MSRP or something. They're trying to knock someone's fucking head off.
Then they're like, I've been buying this car from him for 25 years. I was like, what?
But it's like that is something that the longevity and the long-term thinking, you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
Because they were thinking so short-term in what they were doing that if you look at the longevity of that person, which this was something I was taught by a sales manager I had when I first got into the car space. And he said he's like always focus on the longevity of every person you sell a car to.
Yeah.
He goes, the second you focus on short term with clients in the car business, he goes, you will fail.
Yeah. Well, I see it right now is some of these younger guys that got into the space after COVID or the last 3 years. I see them, they've been in this business now for 2.5 years, and they're grinding every day still. And I'm like, why are you guys working so hard? Why still? You've got 2.5 years. You should have a good foundation built up by now. But they didn't focus on that. It was just, who can I sell this to right now, right? And like I always said too, right back to what you're saying is, I don't really care about this one car deal right this moment. I'm trying to sell you the rest of your life and every person you know. And that's what you should be building, so you're not grinding for the rest of your life.
I think that's the difference in salespeople is you sit there, some people want to jump in, make a quick buck, or if they want to make a career out of it.
Right.
So that's what we both know one individual that worked at TDR that would sit there and sell 25 cars a month and absolutely kill, but he would never get a referral.
Right. Yeah.
And then you had people that would sit there and they took care of one customer where they may have lost money on a deal, and that individual referred them probably more business than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you'd see it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't live in the now, right? And just worry about what's happening right then. it's a future business too, right? Like we're saying, it's all about what can I, how can we build this for later?
When we were doing it, we were looking at future business of just how you took care of that person. And I think that the future business that is, damn, that sucks. Got ash in my beer. The future business that is happening right now is going to be a more of a people are financially flipped where they can't. Like, I know a dealership in particular in Kansas City. It's a new car store. And they would sell people on buyback lemon vehicles, and they told them it wasn't a big deal. And they are all about short-term sales, and because they did that, those people would go try to trade those cars in a year, and they couldn't do anything with them. I remember Jamie and I having the conversation with a lot of people, like, they thought we were assholes because they're like, no, they said this car's still worth just what any normal one is probably maybe $1,000 off. All right, great. Call them, see if they'll give you that price tag for it. Never once did they.
No.
Right.
But it's like, that is short-term thinking of what they did. They never look at selling that person a car a second time,
Right.
acquiring their service work.
What's their service department like?
I don't know. I
I
haven't
can
been
tell
there.
you
That they don't have one.
that they don't because we have them all. Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's,
But it's just, I look at different ways of doing business, and I think that, do they have a business model? Yes. Does it make money? Yes. Is it maybe really doing the right thing all the time? I don't think so. But it's, those people have to sleep with themselves at night.
Sure.
That's on them.
right.
But I think the car space is going to see a big change in the next year. That I feel like the top 10% are really going to shine. And I feel like the bottom like 25% are going to disappear.
Yeah.
That everyone else is just going to struggle.
Yeah.
That I think it's going to be, I feel salespeople are going to get very hard to find. They're going to become more valuable than ever before. And I think it's just because there's going to be so much clutter in the space of all these people that I have 3 years under my belt, but they've never been trained on what to do.
Have you looked at my resume?
But
I took orders for 3 years.
Right.
But what are you seeing new car wise right now?
So new cars inventory is lightening up. The interesting thing is the inventory that's very easy to get is the inventory we don't need necessarily. So, for example, we sell Fords, and it's no secret that F-Series has been the number one selling truck
Forever.
for a long time.
What a plug.
Yeah,
What a plug.
So, ironically enough,
Coming after Dre and I like that. That's jacked.
ironically enough, that's what we have the most of on our lot. Well, not only do we, but so does every other Ford dealership. So, I mean, new cars are lightening up. We're having to start getting more aggressive with our marketing, advertising, and pricing, and building on just everything we've been talking about now. And I think last time we did a podcast, I said you have to give a shit, I believe is what I said.
Was that before or after the llamas?
That was, I don't know. Who knows?
That was before. I can clarify.
It's all blur.
Yeah.
But no, that's just the thing. When a customer calls in to the dealership, because typically they're either calling or they're inquiring online, that's your chance. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? So I had a good conversation with an employee today that's having a little bit of struggles, and he does a really good job. He has a lot of activity, and he's always working. And we just simply talked about the one thing he needs to change, and that's the enthusiasm and the confidence in his dealership and his product. Because he's a lifer, he's going to make a career out of this, and he's just really having a hard time. And I was looking back at some of his videos and stuff like that he sends to customers. He's like, man, I don't know. I mean, I know you. I would buy a car from you. They don't. Like, you have to show who you are through that camera and really focus on it. Because, to your point of the dealership shrinking, so, you get your top 5 or 10% that are actually going to excel. And then, I think, 40% of the dealerships that are operating right now in the next 10 years, I mean, I think it's going to be a big number because, to the Carvana.
I was being kind of generous on that.
Yeah.
I think it is probably larger than 25%. But
yeah, I mean, to the Carvana thing, right? We do not need 20 Ford dealerships in the Kansas City market.
No.
You just don't need it. You know what I mean? Like it's just not a need. If you got drop off, you've got pickup, you've got mobile service. We've got a transit van that can literally go to your driveway, jack your car up, rotate your tires, change your oil, handle all the recalls and the software updates, all of that stuff in your driveway. Like, what's the need to have a dealer down the street? I think you need to have a dealership close for sure.
Right.
But right down the street, I don't know that that's really a need. They've got all the manufacturers have a courtesy transportation program where you can have a brand new Ford to drive while your car's getting a recall fixed, or, heaven forbid, you have a catastrophic failure with an engine or transmission. So I think if a salesperson sells a car, the service department keeps the customer. So if you have a really good salesperson that sells that car to that customer, and you have really good service, there's no need for them to ever go anywhere else, regardless of where they live, right? Like you're their place. Like they don't need to go anywhere else if you've done a good job and you've built that relationship. To your point, Jamie, it's literally, to me, it's that simple. Now it's not that simple, but it is that simple, and then it's all the processes that go into that. How do you greet the guy?
When you say it's that simple, it is that simple. But I think the biggest problem with that is actually educating the public that those things are all available.
Right. No, that's where you guys come in, right?
Like, I literally had no earthly idea about any of those things that you could do tire rotations and everything in your driveway. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Do you guys do that on Saturdays?
Absolutely we do.
You
mean we'll pick your car up at work, bring it back to you before you get off work, and you don't even have to leave? That's a pretty nice thing.
Yeah. Well, so to your point about the salespeople, right, that aren't really building relationships and stuff like that, why would I want to tell my customer that when I'm going to have 5 more people come in and buy a car today? Because I just want to sell you a car right now. In their head, right? I just want to sell you a car right now. I'm not going to tell you all this stuff. I don't want to deal with you, right? I need my paycheck and I'm gone.
Right.
Now think about if a salesperson in 3 months calls that person, says, "Hey, I just want to follow up with you and let you know your first oil change is probably coming up here pretty soon, and we do have a mobile service that will come there, do your oil change there, tire rotation." And I'm assuming there's probably something, if they're buying new, that they have like a first oil change or some shit for free or something like that, or some incentive going on that it's like, why would you not call that person and handle that? Because they already trust you at the beginning.
Right.
They trusted you enough to buy a car. Now you're the familiar face that just led them into the service drive, that led them into the mobile service that's coming to do all their service needs. If somebody made that call to me and they had that all set up, I'd be like, hell yeah, just get it done.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you know what? Jamie is on top of this shit.
That's what I've been talking to the guys all week about. Like, if it's slow right now, why don't you call those people you sold 3 months ago and say, hey, you know what? It's probably time for an oil change, right? Like we were just saying. Like, that's easy way to open yourself up into the beginning of a relationship.
Exactly.
You've got past the sale. They trusted you enough to buy a car. Now do what a salesperson should do and go above and beyond. Set yourself up for that customer for life. Do the stuff that's needed to make them like, hey, that's my guy.
And if you call...
I'm going to tell Dane, I'm going to tell Trey, I'm going to tell Todd to go buy a car from this guy because this dude called me when my oil changes are due. He sets everything up. I don't even have to leave the house no more.
Yeah.
They could come to me, or you know what? They'll come pick my car up and bring it back to me. And I don't even have to worry about it.
And you don't even have to set a reminder yourself. Don't you have a system you can put it in and it'll remind you for it?
Oh, my God. Yeah. But think about how crazy it is, too. If you had 10 customers that you sold vehicles to 3 months ago, that I'm saying that's a low guy. So say you take 10, you call those 10 people, you set that up, and I've had mobile details done in my driveway. Every single time they detailed my truck in the driveway, they got normally 2 or 3 other details on the street.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
just
it's like
a contractor. Yeah.
So if you come out here and you're doing my oil change, my tire rotation, everything on my truck, then my neighbor's like, hey, what you got going on over there? They actually come do all my shit in my driveway. That is legit. Start talking to them like, hey, next time you buy a truck, you should go up and see Jamie up Crossley. Like, now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'll make sure I go see Jamie. Then all of a sudden you just got a referral just because you did the right thing at the right time and you took care of someone. Like, and that goes across any business out there.
Period. Yeah.
Like,
any business.
When you take care of people, it is amazing how many calls we get all the time that you guys are in a competitive space. We're not.
No, you're really not.
Our space is fucking weak. Like, the marketing space, who we're competing against, is really pretty embarrassing. Like there's not a marketing company around that you could get someone on the phone on a Saturday or Sunday. I remember Jamie and we had companies we spent $15,000+ with a month that you would call them and you wanted a conversation like, I think we can probably schedule you out about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Come again?
Yeah.
And it was just like,
we have a promotion going on next week. I need you out here today.
yeah, but it was crazy. Like when the customer service side of it, that if you just keep that communication always bridged and you keep that line open, it's amazing what comes from it. It's amazing the referrals that come from it. It's amazing just how everything works better.
Right.
You don't end up with issues.
Right.
If you avoid an issue forever, it's going to become something bigger.
Yeah, huge.
Bigger and bigger and bigger the longer you put it off.
Right.
So it's just, I feel like that type and that style of just like handling those people and stop. So many people are all about like selling whatever it is. I mean, you could be selling insurance, you could be selling cars, you could be selling marketing, you could be selling food,
Whatever.
anything.
Yeah.
How do you take care of your clientele after they buy?
Yeah. I was just talking to my state farmer about that today at the dealer. Well, he's there right now buying a Mustang. He was like, yeah, he said this lady was going to switch to AAA. I went to her house, and, she's an elderly lady, and I went to her house and explained everything to her in detail, and she's been with a client of mine for the past 3 years. She called me. She said, hey, I'm going to AAA, right? Fixed income, saving $50 a month. He said, do you mind if I come over and bring coffee? She's like, yeah, absolutely. So he came over, explained everything to her in detail. She gets her niece on the line because that's the only family she's got that lives in California. And he's in Kansas City. And her niece was so impressed that the actual owner of the insurance agency was sitting in her room over $50 a month just to explain to her that, hey, you have a $200,000 house and you're getting $90,000 in coverage. This is what your policy looks like on your car, and this is what you're going to get. Like, he just made it very clear for her, but actually spent the time just to run over to her house real quick, which is not a big deal. But most people won't do something so simple. Simple. You know what I mean?
I had a deal Monday where they're like, we can just hop on like the phone. You can talk me through it. I'm like, it's no issue me coming out and walking you through it. I'm like, it's no issue. I come out, I sit down. I'm like, all right, this is what we need to do. Line out and everything. And like, man, I really appreciate you coming out here. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's no sweat. I'm like, I'd rather come do it because I'm like, on the phone, things can get miscued, yada, yada, yada. But I'm like, I'd rather sit down. I want to clarify anything for you. I'm like, I know you're having an issue on this as well. He's like, well, that wasn't set up in the meeting. I'm like, I'm here. I'm like, I can help you with it. So I got all that stuff sorted out right then that, say, 3-4 weeks from now could have become a big issue if something was overlooked.
Yeah.
Like just our onboarding cycle. So when we have to get added to Facebook, Google My Business, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever we're getting added to, we do this every single day. And it's still a pain in the ass going through all that. So we've built out like documents we can send over to people. But like, I remember when Jamie and I at the dealership, we were like trying to add someone new. I'm like, I feel, I'm going to speak on my half. I feel like Jamie and I aren't dumb guys. But we felt pretty dumb trying to add people.
Yeah.
To stuff. I'm like, why is this so hard? And
It is.
so now, after we were in it for, I don't know, probably like a year. I went away from it and I just started going to like, hey, just send this over. They'll add us, do everything, then we'll start rolling. And we ran into so many issues with onboarding. Something that's so simple that I went to Dre. I'm like, hey, you're going to onboard every single account we have. You're going to go there in person. Because no one does that.
No one.
But it's like...
And you deal with 800 emails back and forth.
Exactly. I'm like...
This IT person doesn't think this IT person's smart enough.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to battle IT, which I feel like I can watch this in my head and it's like a huge, crazy Dungeon and Dragons thing going on. And like, you don't know what you're doing. Dude, just let them have the access.
And
leave
like,
me out of it. It drives me insane.
Pretty simple.
Yeah,
It sounds
this.
simple. It sounds simple. It's like you just do X, Y, and Z, and you're good. That's why we finally just told people, this will be the hardest part. I'm like, once we're done, it's plug and play. Your hands are off. The only thing I do is when questions come in, you're the expert in the field, not me. I'm like, you just answer those.
Yeah.
But think about...
It's that easy.
In every space, how many people get into something that they do all day, every day? Do you know how many high-level people still really don't, like, understand financing cars?
Oh, yeah. Like,
Like-
deal with it every day. I mean,
Like I remember when, like Madison, for instance, like Madison's very knowledgeable on everything, but it's just like that's not what she did all the time. And I remember like talking to her. I'm like, why do you not understand this? I'm like, what?
This is
She's
my
like,
job.
But then we look at it. I'm like, we would sell 12, 15 cars on a Saturday. I'm like, we did 15 of these today. I'm like, that's more than most people do in like a lifetime.
Right.
So it's you start looking at that of stuff that you're doing all the time. And we were at a meeting today that we were talking about this. Is when I got into marketing, I was like, I don't want to be the guy that talks over people's heads, because I was the guy on the other side that somebody was talking over my head all the time.
right.
And it irritated me. I was like, we'd have these meetings with marketing companies. I'm like, these people are just a lot smarter than me. I'm fucking stupid. Like, it just irritated me. They'd use terms I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to be that guy. So we get into what we do. I've always kept it simple. There was like 2 months. I'm like, I've been doing training like 7 days a week, like 3-4 hours a day. I'm like, dude,
You ready to hear these big words I found?
I'm like, I'm dialed. I'm like, I've been going over all this new stuff, and I go in these meetings like using all these big words, and people are like, yeah, I think we'll just like wait. And I'm like,
What do you want to wait on? I'm here right now. I can answer all your questions.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, I just don't have
We
it.
don't
anymore.
understand. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Like,
And realistically, I finally took a step back, and I'm like,
yeah.
holy shit, I'm that guy that I didn't want to be. I was like, I'm talking over people's heads. And at that time, I looked at Dre, I was like, and it was like 2 months, so I didn't close shit. And I like took a step back, and I was like,
Oh, we'd get out of meetings. I'm like, Dane, I think we had him at this point. I think we lost him about here.
30 minutes later, they're gone.
I'm like, they were sold, and then we just pushed past the sale.
but it was like,
But you know what? Now they can do what we do.
I'm like, they know exactly what they got to do. But it was, we definitely had to take a step back. So I'm like, the simpler you can keep it. And also, like, when you're selling cars, whatever, we did the same shit in the car business.
You can
like,
sell the car, and you can talk your way out of the sale very
Oh,
fast.
for sure.
How many?
Absolutely.
Everyone does it every day.
I mean, Jamie and I know like a couple individuals. Like, I mean, we could probably fill our hands up pretty fast. That would come in and start selling cars and just absolutely kill it because they keep it simple. And I know one person in particular figured out, like, I wouldn't even say figured out. That'd be the wrong term. I'd say we kind of told him what finance was and like just kind of how it worked. And then I'm sitting in my office on my computer. I hear him out there just rolling on like the most inaccurate shit ever that sounded like so off the wall. I'm like, the fuck is he doing out there? He comes in, he's like, yeah, they're going to go. I'm like, no shit, dude. I'm like, damn, he drove the car. Yeah. I'm like, you think you're an F&I guy now?
Well, and I think that's sometimes, what salespeople do. They throw up trying to get the sale.
Yeah.
They're just like, blah, here's all this stuff.
Here's all this stuff. You need to know all this. No, you don't.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Do they like the car?
Yeah.
Like,
yes or no?
Start off there. Keep it, once again, keep it as simple as it needs to be.
Yeah.
Do they like the car? No? All right. Back
But
up.
I told
Wrong
them
car.
Wrong
they
car.
could get 2% interest rate. Can you do it?
Yeah, but it's like, you figure that part out, then you can actually start navigating on what a sale is.
Right.
Figure out what the objection is. Most of the time, people are. How many times will we have people coming back and forth on price? That price was never even the objection.
Never.
They would come back and I'm like, we go out there and we start talking about some.
Can I get floor mats?
Yeah.
Will you buy it today? Yeah. There's floor mats. There you go.
Yeah.
It's like.
We were selling one truck and the sales guy's going back and forth. And I'm like, I'm done with this. I walk out there. I talk to the dude for like 10 minutes. He's like, man, if I could buy this without my mom co-sign, I'd buy right now. I go, you got anybody else co-sign? He goes, my brother would. I go, would your brother be cool with right now? He's like, yeah. So his brother co-signed. It was a car deal. I was like, dude, you've been out there for 2 fucking hours. What were you doing? Right. I was like, how did you not figure that out? He's like, I don't know.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so I think sometimes just stepping back, simplifying it. What are people's wants? What are their needs? What moves the needle forward?
I think that comes with confidence, though.
Yeah, that's a big part.
I think a lot of people starting off, I know for me, I still to this day remember my first sale, and I was terrified. It was
Did it happen yet?
it was an F-250.
Oh, okay.
It was an F-250.
Oh, Sundance Whitaker, if you're watching.
You're plugging his name? But I still remember that, and all of a sudden I get done, I bring it in, I'm like, I don't know how to do the paperwork. I said, he's ready. He's ready to go.
He's actually asked if he wants to buy the car yet, though.
I'm pretty sure, looking back at it, it's probably the easiest sale. He's like, I want that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he definitely was. I think he
let me
drove
go
from
through
Colorado
the
or something.
steps.
He drove from forever away.
Let me go. I know you're from Tennessee, but we're going to go through
That's
the
what it was,
steps
Tennessee, moving
to get you in this car.
Colorado. Yeah.
Dre's like, this is what I've been told I have to do.
So he gets his pen. He's like, have you ever visited the dealership before? How did you hear about us?
Are you looking for a car, truck, SUV? Sir, I want the 4-door pickup right there.
Is
So
this
a truck.
for business or personal use?
Yeah.
Okay, your must-haves? And what would you like to have?
Are you transferring your motorhome over to this truck that you're trading in? Okay, perfect.
If I had a similar vehicle with similar options at the same or better value, you'd consider that, wouldn't you? No?
Sir,
You want this one? This is the one okay.
Oh, you mean you've already went through finance? You've already got all your.
Did you bring your own check?
This is the one you want.
You brought a check for everything already?
They come walking about finance. All right, Dre's ready. I got a couple more questions.
I'm not.
I haven't got to the back of my next assessment yet. Hold on.
Who is
I
your
have a long
previous
thing
car
of-
finance through?
I have a long thing of notes that I need filled out before I go back there. So
Yeah.
Hold on a second, sir. How do you want to register that? I already signed it.
I'm done. Bye, Dre.
hey,
Come back. I got one more question.
Hey, to this day, I still remember that sale. I was terrified. Then after that second one, I was like, I think I way overthought it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The first one that I sold came back and bought, 12 more cars probably.
Who was it?
Brian Rowe.
Sundance
Oh,
Waker.
Brian Rowe. Brian Rowe. Yep. Mhm.
He definitely had bought every bit of 12.
Great dude.
He
Just
is.
that guy. I haven't seen him in a long time.
I
I'll
know.
have to reach out to him.
That, I saw him in green F-150.
I remember.
It was 07.
Yeah, I remember. I had to deal with the trade when you were in college. Yeah. It was nice.
Yeah. Good truck. Good.
054 in it.
Oh, yeah. You bet you.
Great trip.
Did it
You
sound like?
betcha.
Did it sound like a 54?
Yep. Just like that one sits over in that garage over on the other side. Purrs like a cat.
When you buy a gasser, but you end up getting a diesel.
Sir, can you turn off your truck? I can't hear your order. Damn it. All right.
Dre's like, can you turn that off? I'm trying to fill out my guest assessment over here.
They said I had to bring my desk out to the lot because this is now a lot deal.
Oh, Lord.
Who was your first sale, Jamie?
Oh.
You always remember your
Kyle
first.
Bruton. Kyle and. Damn, I'm trying to lie. They bought an 07 Duramax and they bought a 07 Durango. Same time, cash.
A 2-car deal?
Twofer.
Huh.
I like
Was
it.
it as easy as Dre's Sundance deal?
I mean,
You probably overthought it.
I wasn't 16, but.
I was-
a little bit
I was
more than
18.
now.
I was
Okay,
18.
sorry. Yeah, yes, sorry. Yes, 18. It was 18.
Full disclosure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had a
I signed a
ID,
piece of paper saying I was 18.
he had a ID with Crown.
Speaking of IDs,
I'm
do
18.
you remember what was her name?
Oh, we're
The
not
British
saying.
lady.
Oh, Denise?
Denise. Do you
Denise.
remember when she got the ID sent to her? We're doing an online thing.
Oh,
The
it
guy
was
said-
Pitbull.
It was Pitbull. She's like, no, it wasn't. That was the real guy. Yeah, it is. He's an actual singer.
We
know
all
who he
sat
is.
in your
we
office.
all know by just looking at his ID.
Wait,
and
this-
not only that, he's wearing a tuxedo. His driver's license picture.
But he wants the Mercedes on the showroom.
Right.
We're like, no, that's Pitbull. She's like, no, it's not like yes, it
You
is.
Google Pitbull, it's the third photo.
On a driver's license.
The exact photo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Talking about IDs, we had a customer come in that brought me. It was one of the salesman's deals. He brings it in. The income is on a green sheet of paper, and I'm sitting there.
All I had was construction paper.
I look at it. I'm like, "You're joking, right?" He's like, "No, it's all there." I'm like,
Yep, it is.
I'm like, I'm not taking this. And he's like, well, let me see. I'm like, give me another pay stub. Gets me another one. I'm looking at it. I'm like, you realize all these numbers are the same, don't you? I'm like, these should add up. These aren't adding up. He's like, so is it gonna work? I'm like, no, it's not gonna work. I'm like, if I caught it, it's definitely not going anywhere.
No, the best were when you had a salesperson that came in with a deal that they thought that they just hit a home run. But like somebody is not in a good, like they're just coming straight in to buy.
Cash deal out of New Zealand.
No,
It's a done deal.
I want the Fairlane.
Hey, that's where that car did go.
Yeah,
That was a real deal.
That was actually a real deal.
every salesperson's like, "Oh, I got this bullshit lead on this New Zealand person."
Begging to buy the car. Begging, please, will someone just take the damn money? I won't even come pick it up until you guys know it's
Finally, one of the sales guys like, "Oh yeah, I've been talking to this person. They said they're good to wire the money right." Like we've been bouncing that lead around for a month. I think it was fake. But I remember when I'm trying to remember who the salesperson was.
all of them.
It was somebody that was new, and they come rolling in with his paycheck stub. They put it on my desk like they got everything here they're ready to buy. I'm like, I have you pull their credit, and I'm like, all right, no, it's going to be a basket case. So I pull it up, and I'm like, this paycheck stub isn't real. And they're like, no, yeah, it is. I go, send them in here. And I literally Google fake paycheck stuff. I'm like, I will bet 1,000 this is
Ding.
on the first page.
Number one.
Literally the second one pops up. I literally I had like 3 computer screens. I turned my third one, and the lady sitting at my desk, I was like, is this what you printed off right here?
You didn't even go to the second page of Google?
I go, you didn't even go to adjust it. Look,
said they wanted a paycheck stub. That's what Google
all the
said it
numbers.
It has that person's name on it. It says John Doe on your paycheck stub. What's wrong with it?
But I think it's hilarious how many people go in and think that shit's going to work.
Oh, yeah.
Every day. Every day.
Hey, but guess what? Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does work.
Hey, you get a salesman that's pestering deals. Sometimes they slip one past. They're like, hey, this cash deal. They said they already sent the check and it's in the mail. Oh, is it? Yeah, it's in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah, just go ahead and send the car.
Yeah.
To Joplin. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I think we should plug in here. We got Ricky across the room. I think we are going to plug if we can find Jamie's chopper video.
Oh, man.
I think we should plug that in here.
What do people
I took it
call
off.
you?
It's not there anymore.
It is.
No, it's not there
It
anymore.
is.
Chopping.
So
I
what
don't know
what
if I
did
have a lot of
the
battery left
people
on my
call you
phone
back
here.
in the day?
Which one?
Earlier.
Yours or
Before
Chopper?
me. Before me.
Chopper or your guys' name for me?
No, before. We can't say that in the podcast.
Yeah, we can't say Jamie's. Oh my
Jamie
God,
the
it is.
Chopper Tough?
Jamie the Chopper Chop. Why?
Chopping prices.
Chopper.
Oh,
What's going on, folks? Jamie the Chopper Tuff here. Check out this rig right now. This thing is beautiful. We ain't
Is
talking
it on
about
Dub
20s.
Juice,
We
dude?
ain't talking 22s. Those are Dub Quattros, baby.
Dub Quattro.
On brand new
me see
rubber.
this.
Woo, baby, that's nice. This here is an LTZ Suburban 07. Black
Was this the
on
one that
black.
you sold?
This thing is smooth. Come check this out.
The 07 with the
This thing
Duramax?
is quality. Got the captain's chairs in the middle. Got the sunroof, DVD.
I think we should
for
bring
those
these
little
back.
kids
How long
that
ago was
love
this?
To hear when you're traveling. What's going
Dane,
on
when's
back
that say
here?
uploaded?
That'd be 10 years.
9 years ago.
10 years ago.
Nice. I think you still got it in you.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Ready to go right now. Let's go.
I think we should bring that back on Monday.
No. There's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Let's do it.
Okay, Jamie the
Chopper Tough.
If you do you have anything out there with Dub Quattros on it?
We still got the Continental.
Ooh, that's not. Those are Dub Deuces.
Dude, what's that
Not
white
much.
F-150 out on the front line?
Those are 22 by 12s.
Which one?
Those things look pretty fucking big.
The lifted one?
Yeah.
Yeah, 22 by 12s.
Which one?
The white STX 23
Oh,
max trailer tow mirrors.
I guess 24s are pretty large.
Yes, they are.
Remember when we were like the first ones to do it?
yeah. Truck Kings. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone at the auction thought we were crazy, and we're like, hey, we got people driving from all over the place. We're the only ones out throwing 24s on shit.
All it needs is a 4-inch lift kit, not a leveling kit.
Yeah, we'd send stuff over there. They say, hey, these don't fit. Make them fit.
Make them fit.
Cut it.
Cut it.
Cut.
Sledgehammers work great.
Well, yeah, when you
kidding.
say cut it, what's that mean?
Cut the fenders, cut the bumpers, cut whatever you have to cut to make sure it
Yeah.
doesn't rub and looks
Don't
really
rub.
good.
Don't-
Yeah.
And you know what?
Just
Crash
make
Rubs
it
a little bit. Do you want to look cool? or you gonna be crying about rubbing.
If you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing.
That's right. That's right. Rubbing's racing. Let's go.
Yeah, you could be like old P-Wall. Like his should just drive straight.
Yeah. Doesn't turn at all.
You don't need
But
to turn.
that whole wheel's outside the truck, so
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah. Them are some wide wheels.
Those are some really wide wheels.
What are those, like 18 inches wide? I mean, no kidding.
I think they're 16s.
Yeah, they're 16s.
Yeah, they're
I think
I'm
wide.
pretty sure they're 26s.
I think they're 26 by 16.
They're huge.
We're going to have to find a pic to plug so people know exactly what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
it looks
Yeah.
like it's as wide as a table outside the truck.
No, it's. I thought it was photoshopped when I first saw it. No, I mean it's
Like you just
that
sat
like
the
it's
wheel
that
outside.
wide. Yeah, I was like, holy moly.
Did he set a wheel next to his wheel to see what it looked like?
No, I mean I can't imagine what a tire. I'd hate to be the tire guy trying to get that thing beaded. Whew.
Yeah.
You imagine the pop on that?
Yeah.
They're going,
Yeah, that's nuts. Are those Callies or something?
I can't remember which one they were.
Hostile or something? I don't.
Actually, I think they are Callies.
Are they?
I think they are too. Summits.
Yeah. The
Not
OGs.
100% sure.
Yeah. Anybody that wants a really wide chrome wheel, the Summit's a good pick. Brushed, either or.
Either or.
Yeah.
so I think we need to hear Todd's first sale.
My first sale was horrible.
What's it as easy as Dre?
Did they come in with a check?
No, it was.
Dre had
not
already
near-
scared
it
off
was
like
not
8 people
near
before that one.
No,
I had so many gift cards.
No, the first guy I talked to, I sold, but it was not a good one. So he's actually a local guy, Carney. He owned, I don't know if he still does, there was a meat company called Premier Protein.
I believe it is still there.
Yeah, I think it is. The guy's name was Tim Haas, I believe. But long story short, Crossley Customs had we were doing some pretty cool stuff. You know, we had a Ford Fiesta. I think it was 11 Ford Fiesta, brand new, lowered. Of course, lowered, and big wheels on those are like 18s, you know.
I can't help myself.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, keep going.
And Ford Fiesta and mix it together. Come on. That thing better been sick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like we wrapped the hood and stuff, and it was neat. It was
Was it
really,
green?
No, it's white.
Oh.
Really cool car. And so Tim came in one night. We were talking about the car. He's like, well, I'm going to come back in tomorrow. I'm like, okay. I got to have you talk to a manager first. Right? And it was
I
late.
can't let you leave yet.
It was late, and the managers didn't want to talk to him or whatever. It was a late night deal. And he saw it on the highway. He come back in the next day like he said he would. And he was like, hey, I need to take this home and show my wife. I'm like, okay, I'll go with you. And so we drove it to Kearney, to his house. His wife looked at it. We're driving back, having a great conversation, and just a very, very nice man. And we get back to the dealership, and he's like, well, hey, it's got Sirius satellite radio, doesn't it? And on the center stack right there, it says Sirius. And it's got a button that you actually press the button. I'm like, yeah, it's got Sirius, right? Well, I looked at the window sticker and I didn't see Sirius. I'm like, well, maybe it doesn't have Sirius. But I'm like, why would they put a button in there that says Sirius that you actually press and it doesn't have
What
Sirius?
year was this?
And keep in mind, my product knowledge was probably one of the best in the store. Like I really this was 2011, like March of 2011. And so anyways, I was just like, yeah, I'm just really confident. Like I aced all my testing through Ford, easily. I got through that stuff, and I'm into cars. Still am. Still, I always have been. And I was like, it has Sirius. I was just very confident it had Sirius, but I kind of had second guessed myself. And right then, I should have stopped. Sell the car. He's super super thrilled. I mean, just super happy with the car. Comes in the next day. He's like, hey Todd, I'm trying to figure out the Sirius. It won't work. I'm like, all right.
It doesn't have it.
I'm like, all right, well, let's figure it. And by this time, I'd completely forgot about me second guessing myself. I went out there. I'm like, all right, well, let's figure it out. So we go out there and punch the button. I'm like, well, it's weird. It's not working. So I said, well, let me pull it into service. So we pull it into service, and service is like, well, Todd, it doesn't have the module. I'm like, okay, well, what's the deal then? Was it misbuilt or what was it? I couldn't figure this out. Anyways, long story short, it didn't have Sirius XM.
So you still pay for Spotify Premium to this day?
I was trying to figure out a solution, and
LimeWire it is.
the only solution I could find was a $700 module thing that's set in your cup holder.
I think they give those away now for free.
Yeah, so they do.
mistake.
Sets in your cup holder, and it's got the little thing on there, the little button that you can go up and down the radios. As a matter of fact, if you ever want to change a radio station at our dealership, that module's up there.
Still used to this.
Yes.
Years later, we're still using that.
They took it out when he traded it back in.
I had to pay
back on this.
$749 to have that installed, and I'm pretty sure that guy will never talk to me again. I called and tried to apologize because it was an honest mistake, and I really hated that I messed it up. But that was in my first car sale.
So you lost money on your first car sale?
It was horrible. We didn't. I mean, the dealership.
So
didn't-
speaking,
it was a learning mistake for sure. But I'm glad that I did it. It was very humbling. I mean,
I bet you haven't made that mistake again.
No. And I think about that all the time. You know what I mean? Because I just hated the fact that guy and I had such a good relationship, and I completely messed up.
Speaking with managers, the funniest thing was we're going to totally drop Justin's name on here. When Justin first started. So Justin first starts when he's going through training, and we were swamped. And Jamie and I go back to my dad's office, and we walk in there, and we tell Justin, like, probably the first day, we're like, hey, if you're talking to anybody, what are you two pointing at over there?
I got to take a quick break.
Oh, go for it. Yeah. So Jamie and I are, first thing we tell Justin, we're like, hey, if you talk to anyone, they just have to make sure they talk to a manager before they leave. Just to make sure they cover their bases, like he doesn't know what to talk.
Have you heard this story?
No, but I have an idea where it's going.
We hadn't really went over like what he was supposed to like do, anything like that. So we're in my dad's office sitting there, Jamie, my dad and I, and Justin's a larger dude. He comes running in the office, and I mean he's scooting. He comes in, he's like,
He's a big boy, yeah.
standing in the doorway. I'm like, Justin, what you got, bro? And he's standing there. He's like, this lady needs to talk to you. I'm like, why are you running? He's like, I blocked her in. I go, what?
I did hear it. Yeah.
He goes, she was going to leave, so I just grabbed our car and I pulled it behind her. I'm like, what? Come again? He goes, yeah, it's like right behind her, so she can't leave. I'm like, I get up, of course, immediately. I go out. I'm like, move that goddamn car. And the lady's like, what is going on? I'm like, my fault, 100% my fault. I was like, I told him that he just started. I was like, everyone has to talk to a manager.
Yeah.
And she actually thought it was pretty funny. We ended up selling her car like the next day.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just have to grab my husband. She goes, I love the car and everything. She's like, he's just going on financing with me. I was like, and we get to talking for a while. She's like, I live right up here, like a mile.
But that speaks to who Justin is as a person. He is a good man,
phenomenal.
Great.
Yeah, and he will take direction. Even if it's awkward for him, like he takes it serious.
I would pick him as a salesperson. Like out of all the people I've trained over the years in auto sales, I would pick a person like Justin over anyone else,
hands down. I mean, he's just absolute good. He's got one of the most. It's weird to say about a man, but he's got a beautiful soul. He's just a really good dude.
That was a little weird to say about him.
Well, it is. But I tell you, I mean, now that I've had a chance to work with Justin outside of TDR, and he's with me every day.
Now you see what we're talking about.
I always understood that he was a good guy because he's fun to talk to. Like he's genuinely curious about people, and just realizing how eager he is to really figure it out. It's just it's a cool thing to watch because if any of you know Justin, he's first impressions are not that great, but once he gets a couple words out to you, like you can just tell the kind of guy he is. He wasn't doing it he wasn't blocking her in just to block her in and be a weird guy, right? He was trying to please you.
Oh,
he was trying to make sure he was doing his job and to the best of his ability. And the only thing he probably knew how to do at that point was like, oh man, what do I do? Park the car behind her.
Right inside, go get somebody.
Step 4, I don't have enough time to run all the way across the showroom to get Dave.
Yeah, just the other day the phone was ringing and Jamie's sitting because Jamie and I share offices now. And so Justin's sitting there and the phone rings and the phone is like from here to the garage door. So it's 15 feet away. And he takes off a dead sprint right over that phone. We were laughing. He came back in the office. He's like, what are you guys laughing about?
It was a service appointment.
They were looking for parts.
But it's just funny, like there's certain people that came through that like we would sit there, and I think a lot of people thought when we were trying to teach them and educate them on what to do that we were just blowing smoke up their ass. Like we genuinely wanted them to do well. Like that does better for everyone. And then I remember we'd have people that we'd be like training, and we'd be going through training, and we'd be like, go out and like, you need to say X, Y, Z. I sat in a glass cube that was like 15 feet away from where they sat, and they would go out there and say something completely different.
I can hear everything.
And then they'd come back in, and they're like, yeah, it was a no. I'm like, you didn't say anything that we just talked about. I go, where did you come up with that shit? I go, you've never, not once during training, anything, has anybody ever told you to say any of that?
The path of least resistance.
Exactly. And they would go out there and just like, it would just blow my mind. But like Justin was somebody that like, if you could tell him the most off the wall shit of,
Yeah, you better be careful.
like, you have to tell him, like, even if you're joking with him, you're like, don't say that.
I was kidding.
Yeah.
It would be funny, but don't say it.
Yeah, and we've had that at Crossley too before Justin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's cool.
So it's definitely kind of funny when you see like how people react, and then like you find those people that do adapt really well to learning. They like Justin, I feel like has came light years.
Oh yeah.
And selling cars and making a career of it.
And I think he actually wants to learn and he wants to be better every day he comes in.
Yeah.
And he'll sit there, he hustles, and that's where a lot of people that have like a good month or two and then just get lazy. And then that month after, they're like, I know what I'm doing. You don't need to tell me what to do.
Right. The 90-day thing.
Yeah. They're like, I'm the best car salesman ever. And then Justin, he's like, man, I'm getting slow. What do I need to do? Hey, glad you asked. And that's what you guys are very fortunate. You have training. You can do. Be like, hey, let's take a step back. Let's look at the phone calls, how they were going this time when you sold 20 plus units. Now let's look at why things have fallen. What are you saying? And actually deep diving into someone that I think a lot of dealerships do overlook. And then they're just like, man, you had 2 slow months, you're done. And no heads up, it's just like, you're done.
And I think that's what separates us.
Yeah.
You know, to Jamie's point about being the best place to work. I mean,
So like
that's exactly what we do, Dre.
one of the things that is we tried to have our morning meetings with all the time. They must have a morning meeting every time, and it is a great thing to do to get everybody back in line again. And kind of, night went through. You sold a bunch of cars last night, but it's a good thing to get back and remember what you just did the day before, what you have working, because on any given Saturday, there's anywhere from 50 to 75 people that come across the showroom there. Any given Saturday. And
How much do you think you can fuck with that thing down there, Dre? you just like touching the mic.
You're fine, Dre. He's on this side of the table.
Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome, buddy.
He's been working on it for 5 minutes.
It's like, Dane, where's your tool set?
It's only got 2 things on here.
is this thing on?
Yeah.
I was listening, Jay.
Oh, you're good. I'm good.
So you were talking about the meetings
so,
and Saturday.
and it's awesome that they actually do it every day, and they stick to what they say. They one of the best things about there is their organization is good. It's probably the best I've ever seen. They have the sheets. They can track everything they've done, and that's awesome, because as much as we wanted to do all that and we try to do all that, when you're not set up the way you guys are set up to be there all time for employees, and that comes from the very, very top people at that dealership to everybody. Everyone has each other's backs, which was really cool there. And then when you're in a smaller setting and there's only 1 or 2 managers and you're trying to do everything, you miss a lot of stuff that you would have caught if we would have had a morning meeting and been able to go over everything that happened the day before, right? And I really like that part of it. It's because there's a lot of deals we catch every morning just by looking what happened the day before. Like, oh man, we needed to call that guy back. We were supposed to do this for him, right? And that's going back to building relationships and doing the stuff you say you're going to do, because if it's not an easy deal, sometimes you forget to call them back and you forget to do what you said you were going to do. Well, if you have that next morning meeting the next day, you remember it.
Or some people just not wanting to do it and holding them accountable as well.
Right, and holding them accountable. And that's, like you're talking about too, is like, if there's an issue, tackle it. Get it done with, right? Get it off your back, because it just snowballs if you don't. So
I think those process and procedures put in place, and I feel like the last couple years I've been on like hyperdrive because we deal with so many business owners that I've got to see how shitty businesses are ran. I've got to see how great businesses are ran. And I feel like one of the biggest factors from businesses that operate really well from the top all the way to the bottom is because their process and procedures that are in place make it to where it's very organized. And it was something that when I was in the car space, I wasn't great at delegating things. That
Our time, we just do it.
it was. Yeah. And it was one of those things that it could be the smallest thing, but we were just like, hey, it takes us 5 minutes to do it. We're just going to do it. There's certain things that, like in our business, our company now, I do not do, period.
Right.
Even if it takes me 5 minutes, I can go knock it out. What makes it to where I don't just do that next time and I just do that next time? That's somebody else. Like when you start building something and you're really managing a lot of people and you start doing that, you have to delegate those things.
Right.
Because, yeah, we can change out a battery real quick. So we change out one battery. What's the difference between now we're going to change out 50 of them?
Right.
So where does that stop in that threshold of scalability? Because you look at, yeah, maybe today it's okay, but then that goes back to that short-term to long-term thinking. If we're selling 100 cars a month right now, if we're selling 1,000 cars a month, can I do that same thing all the time?
Right.
No.
Absolutely not. You can't do it.
So then where in that threshold are you going to break that to where you stop doing that thing?
Yeah, it's an efficiency.
So you start looking at your efficiency, you're looking at your organization, you're looking at all of these different pieces, and I feel like Gary Crossley Ford's a whole different scale of what TDR was. And there was a lot of times that it was Jamie and I, like Dre, that there was only so much time that we had and the manpower that we had that we didn't have a receptionist lady at the front take calls.
Right.
We had a lady up there, but pretty much it was she answered the phone and clicked it to front or back. Mm-hmm. There was no handling of anything. And it was like somebody calls and raises their voice one bit at any salesperson. It's like, dang, Jamie. Like, who can I send it to the fastest? But I feel like you guys have a whole nother scale of what you do.
Yeah, I mean, we still get those calls.
Sure.
I mean, every day. You know, I didn't get much accomplished yesterday from my daily task, just because of that, which, to your point, the process.
But you guys have, what? How many managers are there?
5.
5. I feel 5 high-level managers makes a big difference from 2. Like, and you look at more people being able to bid trades. You look at more people being able to do all these things. Like, you guys can run. Like, if we sold 15 cars on a Saturday, we were tapped to the fucking 9s.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah.
That was
for us.
They came in at 8:30. We left at 10.
Yeah. And that was all day.
All day long.
Not eating.
Yeah.
Like, it was not slowing down. If we were eating, we were probably eating tacos from Taco Bell.
Yeah.
In between car deals, whatever.
Sitting in one office, eating it before you go into the office to sign papers.
Now, granted, those were like the best days that we had. Like
fun days.
Like, it was fun. It was like music's playing on the showroom. Like, those are the days that you looked forward to. But it was also like.
Then your Monday was tanked because then you're just trying to go through everything again, all 15 deals.
You got to cap all your deals. Yeah, get everything done, ready to send it.
But there was no scalability over that. There was nothing that we couldn't break that.
No, we did it multiple times, but we never could break it because we couldn't. We maxed it out. We maxed out our workload. We couldn't do any more.
Yeah,
not in one day. Not with what we had to work with.
Yeah,
and not in that situation necessarily, but I think that sometimes we get kind of narrow-minded in our business, right? We're not willing to take that chance to maybe add another manager or. In fear of, because in this business, if you're not selling anything, you can't pay anybody.
Exactly.
So when you add someone, it's an expense. I mean, it's a tough job, and it's
everyone's definitely at that point looking at their check. They're like, we hire that. How does that affect me?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think sometimes, and I know I'm guilty of it. Anyways, I'm not speaking for you guys, but I think sometimes when we get in those situations, and it's like, man, that was a freaking grind. Sometimes I think we had a call today about confidence, right? I think sometimes we lack the confidence in ourselves to say, you know what, let's put a process together so we're more efficient. So we can either do one of two things. We can add a person and grow, or we can just grow by coming up with more efficient processes, in the business. So
I think at that point, we probably could have became more efficient if we had a lot of times, like when we had porters and shit like that, they didn't work on the weekends. Right. If they were up there running tags, doing tags, having all those cars backed up front, running stuff to the car wash, doing that, freeing up those salespeople inside, that we probably could have became more efficient with a better process in place. And it's something that I look at all the time of we acquire accounts, and most people look at just hiring more employees because what we do is it takes manpower.
Right.
But I look at it week over week of how that is what my sole job has became. My job is making sure that we are taking care of the accounts we have, helping onboard new accounts, and making sure our processes are efficient. I'm not on a camera out filming all the time. I'm not managing social accounts. I'm not doing any of the stuff that's actually being done at our company anymore. It's how are we doing this in the most efficient way to schedule things out to free up time for the people that work there. I'm not trying to stack their workload as heavy as possible. I'm trying to make it so they can go golf on a Wednesday. I'm trying to make it so they can have a life to go do what they want to do when they want to do it, but that comes with efficiency.
Yeah. Well, and we've come out of a similar space.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times most businesses think about how do I become most efficient to stack somebody for the most time, and then I don't have to hire someone else. I can just work that person harder. Which sometimes it's like figure out how that person can get more done in the same amount of time you have from them and give them time. Maybe they don't have to work as many hours.
Right.
They can work less hours, get the same amount done that they currently are, and they're going to enjoy their job more.
Right. Retention.
Exactly.
You know, come up with the ways that makes it a little easier on them.
Yeah. But I don't even know how long we went.
About an hour 10.
Oh, it's better than I thought.
I was gonna say the cigars are getting pretty low.
I know.
You were talking about giving people more time, you know.
More time.
Which
Which is funny you say that. We talked about it last time I was on too. Is when I started, and even when in the beginning when you started, and probably when Todd started,
When you guys were selling horses and wagons.
Yeah, no, you don't. That's right.
I don't.
Sundance wasn't around.
Sundance was around way before the horse and wagons.
the currency was actually a buck.
I do.
Which you know
You're
what
right.
you know what a buck is, right? It's an actual buck. That's where the buck comes from.
So $1 for a horse and wagon.
Yeah, they'd come in with reefer units full of bucks. Lots of bucks.
What I was going to say is we were more money motivated than we were time motivated, right?
Correct.
We gave up a lot of time for a little bit more money, and
I think we gave up a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time. But you know what?
Which, you know what's funny is like when I'm still money motivated,
Sure.
but I've became more impressed with people that like I feel like I have a very high work ethic of what I do. And I feel like I've always drove a really high work ethic. And I'm like, if I'm not working from sun up to sundown, just out grinding everyone, doing everything possible, then I'm not giving it my all. But I've started to realize that my relationship is just as important, if it's more important than my job. My relationship with my family is more important than my job. My relationship with my friends is more important than my job. So it's like when you start putting everything into real perspective, and then the people I'm really impressed with are the people that make a great living and they figured out how to organize their job, their relationship, their family, their friends, all these things that you can meet a guy that makes $500,000 a year and he's like, yeah, I work 110 hours a week. I was offered a job when I left TDR that was astronomical amounts of money. I turned them down because I was just going to trade what my life was for a year for dollars and cents.
Right.
So, and I think most of the time that person thinks like, oh, everyone wants to be me. I'm making dough. No, like I'm more impressed with the guy.
Who you are because you're not anywhere.
Exactly. I'm more impressed with the guy that makes that same amount of money that works 3 days a week. What the fuck's that dude doing?
Yeah, for real.
That's the guy I'm impressed
If
with.
he worked 6 days, he'd be making $1 million.
But that person can sit there and is the rest of that week worth another $500,000 a year to you? It's realistically, what are you going to put that price tag? Because that price tag will always move. If you're making $1 million, working 3 days a week, and you can make $2 million working 6, like, where does that threshold stop?
There's a reason why taxes are done by percentages and not by dollar amounts, right? Because the more you make, the more you spend, the more you pay in taxes, the more they take in taxes, is because it's percentage, right? So you wanted to work harder, well, 10% for off $1 million is way more than 10% off $100,000, right? So they're going to do everything on percentages because they're going to they're going to get their cut, right?
And I've looked at it as, could I go out and work on the weekends all the time? I work on a laptop a lot of times on the weekends, but it's things that need to be done. But I look at how organized and efficient can I be with this percentage of my time that probably I've listened to a lot of podcasts with Rob Dyrdek on it. You know, Rob Dyrdek does all of his TV for ridiculousness and everything. He has charts. He spends 4% of his year filming 250 episodes of TV every year. 4%.
That's an interesting way of doing it too.
R.I.P. Big Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you look at everything he does, it's based on percentages. He goes, I spend the same amount of time every year filming TV, that everyone knows him as a TV star, that he does taking his kids back and forth to school. That also is 4% of his time. But it's like when you start looking at perspective of how these people use their time, that, yeah, what he makes, could he say, hey, I'm going to pay somebody to take my kids to school and make more money?
Yeah.
He could have 2 TV shows. But is that worth? I think that time that he takes his kids to school every single day is probably worth more than his TV show to him.
For sure.
So
I think he'd probably trade it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so where does that perspective level stop?
Yeah, and it's different for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I don't know.
Like, when you look at it, it's like, do any of us struggle eating?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of got my interest. I mean,
yeah, it's.
I'm going to be up till like 3:00 in the morning now. Thanks, Dane. Appreciate it, dude.
No, but that's something
Sitting
I
here
think
with a
about.
calculator.
That's something I think about all the time. Is like, how are you using your time? That are you giving it to the right spots? Because everyone thinks that they just have unlimited time until they hit like 60. Then all of a sudden they take a step back, saying, "Oh shit, I'm getting old." But it's like, what happens if you're not here in 5 years? Did you spend your last 5 years doing it the way that you wanted to? Like, was that extra $500,000 that you sacrificed 3 days of your week every single week over the last 5 years worth it? Did that give you something that was so amazing that filled some void? Because I'll tell you, you can buy nicer cars, and the cars will give you that endorphin high or whatever for a day or two. But normally within a week or so, it's kind of gone. Is it nice driving something cool? Yeah. But it doesn't, I'm talking for me personally, it doesn't bring me like crazy amounts of happiness.
That's not true. Cars bring you all the happiness.
Yeah, you had me fooled. I'm looking
cars
outside
are
your
amazing. Buy all the cars.
No, but it's like when I started MMG, and probably some of the most fun I had, I'm not going to say most fun, but I had an amazing time when I started this. I was driving a Ford Fusion around.
That was a nice view.
On 22s.
Not the black one. You probably forgot about the black one.
Oh, yeah. On 20s, excuse me.
Hey, but I will say, when you had that, you had a photo of a truck you wanted, and you had a price that you had to hit company-wise to get that truck. Right?
I use material things as like goal setters of what I have to break threshold-wise to acquire those things. But it drives me
Back to what you're
business-wise.
saying, I think it also has something to do with Rob Dyrdek made it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to do that much time anymore because he put in the time, right? He built the foundation to where you can do those things. And so you have to know also is like, when am I going to grind? Rob Dyrdek grinded. He, just like everyone else, he grinded.
Literally,
What you're not-
skateboarding.
right, exactly. What you don't or aren't talking about is he worked 7 days a week on the road as a professional skater to get a name that everyone knew who he was, right?
Yeah.
So you have to put that time in also so that you can get to the spot. And there's a grind period too. And when do you do that is when you determine, like, there's not a time or place, right? You could talk, Gary Vee talks about it all the time. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could start today. You could be 70 years old, and today I want to be a millionaire, and he'll he talks about every day what you have to do it, right? It's just when you want to grind and how you want to grind, and everyone's time period is different, right? If you want to spend time when you're younger with your family and be there, or if you want to grind later in life or early in life, to get to where you don't have to grind, you have to grind, right?
But I think it's also something that, I mean, we talk about in the car business all the time, that there were sales guys that could come in and outsell somebody that's there 6 days a week. They could outsell them in 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like,
but they're utilizing efficiencies and utilizing your time while you're there. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that just stand around and look around and like, what am I doing?
And what pisses me off probably the most is when people are like, I grind. I'm like, no, you dick around for 6 days somewhere getting nothing accomplished. That, like, if you're selling cars, and like, as terrible as this sounds, like, if you're selling cars and you go in for 6 days in a week and you don't sell a car, you didn't make jack shit. You didn't make anything happen.
Minimum wage.
So, like, say you're a construction guy and you're building a bridge. You literally came for 6 days and stood there and just stared at the bridge.
Right.
You got nothing done.
And how long will that last when the boss is standing there?
Exactly. So it's like,
so you got to be your own boss, and you have to have the motivation to grind yourself.
which I think you hit the nail on the head too. Motivation speaks volumes. That, like, I watch a lot on Ed Milet. Ed Milet talks about how he has 2 days to everyone's one. So a lot of times people are pretty confused at what that is. But he starts work at 6 o'clock every morning. He runs 6 to noon. He takes an hour break. Then he runs 2 to 7. He goes, I have 2 6-hour days.
He doesn't do the fours?
But the fours are my thing.
Oh, that's your thing. Got it.
It'll catch on one.
Day and M.
Yeah.
Day and M.
It's the next.
But it's just one of those things that he has 2 days to everyone's one. He goes, in 6 hours, I'm more efficient at 6 hours than most people are in 8. And he goes, I do 6 hours, I take a break, and then he goes, I do another 6. So he goes, now in a 5-day work week, I just work 10 days to your 5.
Right.
So he goes, now in a year, he goes, I just put in 2 years to your 1. So he goes, in 10 years, I put in 20 years to your 10. He goes, I just surpassed you by 10 years just by being more efficient with my time.
Exactly right.
And people want to prioritize sleep, I think, a little bit too much a lot of times. That I think 8 hours of sleep is plenty. I think a lot of people are targeting for like 10 or some shit or all of it.
12 is the magic number.
But but it's like one of those things that I think when people are grinding and they're really doing all these things and they're capitalizing on their time, and if that's in the morning, like I was the first one to make an excuse the whole time I worked at the dealership. I didn't have time to work out.
Yeah.
All that was a fucking excuse, period. I made that excuse for a long time. I started making the same excuse once we started getting busy in this.
Then you started the force.
Hey, I made the same excuse because they would all go to the gym. Dane's like, you coming? I'm like, now I got to be out at so-and-so at 7:30 a.m. I'm like, I ain't making it. So I just substituted the gym when I probably could have went to the gym earlier, but I would work. It was the same thing of I felt like this time I was pretty efficient. Start at 7:30, and I'd probably end the day around 8 or 9. Did that for about 5 days. Did that for about 6 to 8 months. I came down. I'm like, bro, this sucks. Like, literally, I need help. I'm like, I can't do this. And brought someone on. It changed dramatically. And then going into that efficiency, it was the same thing where, like, someone would go out and do it. I'm sitting there. I'm like, bro, I could have knocked out, like, twice as many as you did. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I could have done twice as much. But it's letting go of it and giving someone that reign Dane talked about earlier, is like delegating, be like, hey, you need to do this and be good at this. And if there's an issue, let me know. I'm like, don't go to Dane, come to me. I will handle the issue. And if it's above my pay grade, that's when we need to go to Dane. If you crash something, we go to Dane.
Yeah.
Like that. Other than that, come to me. Oh, we'll handle it.
But I think that's just, I think when it gets to capitalizing on time, I think a lot of us discount where, I don't know where the numbers have been put out there of when people are supposed to get up and when people are supposed to go to bed, and like
you get up when the sun comes up.
There's some people that run like, I think it's, I don't know who it is. There's a couple of people that I've seen that they run like 3-hour naps, which I don't know if I agree with, but they work during the night. They just work, and there's like every so often they just do I think it's every 6 hours or something. They just do a 3-hour nap, which I think it's kind of weird depending on the business model that you're in.
Sure.
That might work.
Software.
But it's one of those things of just capitalizing and using that time and also just coming up with excuses. I think that's a lot of people's problem is they have an excuse for everything. And I am a huge advocate of this at Moss Marketing Group is if you come to me with any sort of problem, the last thing I want is an excuse. If you come to me with a problem, you better have a solution before you even come to me. If you do not have a solution, don't come to me yet. So it makes it to where, because if we would have changed that one thing at TDR, our lives would have been 1,000 times better. Because when all you have is sitting in a chair like you sat in, and even in the car space, I think dealers, I see it all over the place. When you're sitting in there and you have 8 different sales guys come to you with 8 different problems in an hour, and that adds up over a day, that adds up over a week, you have now you're just reacting to everything. You become to a fully reactive position.
Right.
It's really hard to be proactive on anything that you're doing.
Do you know where the keys are at?
Don't even
Dude,
start.
but it's just like,
Don't even start.
but shit like that's always happening. What is your solution to this? If you implement that one thing, now somebody has to use their head to problem solve before they come to you. And it's pretty crazy how often people solve that problem and that never actually really comes to you.
Right.
That you're like I sit there and I can think about 100 of them in a day from what we used to do. Mm-hmm. That if we just implemented that one thing.
Right.
And you see it in a lot of very high up business owners that they have implemented that I don't want a problem.
It's your ship. Right. Figure out.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, I feel like we do. Todd Crossley says it all the time. He's like the answer's in the house. Mm-hmm. You know, and so to your point, which we do that too. I mean, I guess we don't have it maybe as structured as what you do at MMG, but we tell people all the time, all of our employees, we tell them. I mean, on a daily basis, an employee hears it. If you have a problem, right? Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Here's the new process, right? Here's how we handle this issue. However, if you have a better solution, get into my office and let's talk about it, because guess what? I don't have all the answers. And everybody, from the top down says that. We don't have all the answers. If you've got a better idea, let's vet it out. Because I'm assuming if one of your employees, maybe not, but if one of your employees comes to you with a problem, they don't come in with an excuse. They come in with a solution. It then becomes a conversation.
Yes.
And then it's implementation, and then it's
But think about how many simple. I'm talking the simplicity side. That if there's a process that's out of whack that needs a new solution to it, then that's a conversation I want to have. But I realized it when we worked in the basement. When there was 7 of us working in the basement, and I worked on marketing knowledge day in and day out all the time. You know what became really easy? Hey, Dane, what's the this, and that? And I would just answer everyone. So I sat there.
The day you told me, I asked him a question. He's like, get on fucking YouTube and figure it out. I'm like, bro, you can tell me.
I watched Dane do it.
I'm like,
he figured it out on YouTube.
I'm like, you can tell me in 2 seconds. He's like, just figure it out. So I said,
but I sat there and finally I'm like, I'm going to draw a line in the sand that I'm not going to solve everyone's problems all the time. Because once again, you start looking at scalability. There are 7 of us that people are popping their heads around computers and asking me questions. And I started looking at how my time was delegated during a day, answering all these questions.
Right.
And then it's like, I started implementing. I'm like, I want a solution when you come to me. So now if you peek your head around and you ask me a question, guess what? That solution was on YouTube, or that solution was somewhere out there. You just didn't want to take the time to go find it.
Yeah.
And guess what? When you found that solution, you probably learned a couple other things.
Yeah.
So then everyone started elevating at the same level I was.
Right.
And then all of a sudden everything started moving 10 times faster because everyone was doing the same thing I was doing, because it was like, well, I can't ask him because he's not going to tell me. Because I think about scalability with 7 of us, it was already getting to where there was a lot. Now think about if there's 100 of us. Am I going to sit in an office on a fucking phones all day? Like, oh, you got a question? Call me. Oh, you got a question? Call me. Oh, like, where does that stop?
Right.
So it's implement, like, think about how many salespeople come in your office every day. I mean, I was up there for like an hour, and there's probably like 5 things. I'm like, you could have figured that out yourself. Like, but if you make that person have to come to you with that solution, you're going to start figuring out when they're like, hey, this car needs a battery. I'm going to go talk to Jamie about it. Oh, the solution is Jamie's not actually the one that does that. I'm going to go talk to the service manager because they put batteries in cars.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, all these things start dripping off the plate.
Jamie also puts batteries in.
Yeah. We have a really nice tool set.
I know what you're saying, but once in a while, there's not a service department, and guess what?
After hours is different. After hours is
scared to get out there and put a battery in. I did it yesterday.
But now that person comes to you.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Thanks.
Now that person comes to you and says,
yes.
You get paid flag time on that one, too, by the way.
Ooh, that's good money.
that was
I work for that.
that was a 4-hour job, right?
We'll pencil that in for 0.5.
Carry the 0.
Yeah.
No, but it's like, I think when you do that, and that goes for anything. That's not just the car business. It's not just, I think everyone becomes so reliant on managers in front of them that I think I learned it really quick because I asked my dad questions all the time. I asked Jamie questions all the time. I was the fucking person I was doing that shit. But it's like, I look back at it that when I started this, I didn't have anyone to ask a question to. There was no one else that was like, I couldn't pop around a desk and say, hey, can you answer this? Like, I
remember. I watched when you very first started doing the whole thing for us. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to make a cool video and see how this works.
You see this drone we got? We're going to launch it in the showroom.
Yeah.
Straight into the ceiling. All right, that was a good test,
you went
drone.
back and found the very first video?
I have a Google Drive with actually all of my original videos from TDR, and they're rough.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like looking at what you guys do now, and I'm like, you're showing me those pictures earlier. I'm like, oh, wow.
Bro, that was probably midsummer.
Do you remember the Casey Truck Kings little logo you made? I'm looking at it now, I'm like, and now I see your like MMG like,
Yeah.
and disappear, and then it turns into like whatever. And
Yeah,
like,
I was. But it was like.
wow, he's come a long
Oh, bro,
ways.
midsummer.
Started on YouTube.
We went through those videos, and Dane's sitting there, he's like, this is trash.
I'm like, I don't know how I posted these. But the thing was, people come in all the time like, dude, that's so cool. I'm like.
Well, the cool thing about that is when you're the first, you can get away with that kind of stuff because no one else is doing it.
But look, I was watching a video on Gary Vee literally like 3 days ago. And he was talking about like people starting content. Everyone waits for the right time for perfect content with all these different things. That when I started TDR, we didn't have an option for what we do. That wasn't an avenue to call. I called everyone in KC and nobody offered what we offer now.
Hey, most people still think that isn't an option.
And it really is like
the craziest. I mean, no one else offers that I've talked to. I don't know about
no.
in the 12 years plus I've been doing it. I mean, I don't know anyone else that's come in and offered us that kind of stuff.
No, we've had a couple guys that come in and offer it.
Well.
And then we had a guy do it.
Yeah.
And then we had a guy send us the stuff and use it. I mean, but it is what it is. I encourage the guy to keep trying and getting better.
But it's one of those things where there's people that offer media. There's people that offer marketing services. No one had bridged the gap to make it all work correctly together in one spot.
Right.
That's where I saw the void. That when we were trying to do videos of trucks by the masses, it wasn't possible.
No.
Because people were coming in hitting us at like $10,000 a video. I'm like, not happening.
Right.
And then we're contacting marketing companies like, oh yeah, we don't mess with this. Here's this media company. I'm like, I already talked to them. They hit us at 10 G's a truck. I'm like, so there was no.
That's just the video. They're not going to do anything else.
They don't do anything with
Here's
it.
your video.
So there was no in between.
Google Drive with a video in it.
Right.
So it's like I saw that as the void of market that we needed to go after. Was there's nothing that pissed me off more that when we would work with someone, it put more work on our plate.
Right.
That I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like that's what our like biggest
Auto
thing.
Trader. Hey, get us a video of your place. Okay, but don't we pay you a lot of money? You can't just send somebody out here to do that?
Just a little
But
bit. of
The
money.
way the debits and the credits work, they don't counteract.
Yeah, you have no credits for those.
You used all your credits this month.
Here, if you buy these more spotlights, we'll think about getting someone out here for you. But
gonna be
just gotta buy
five.
more spotlights. Buy more
Another
spotlights.
$5,000.
Yeah. But
Why though? When I'm in my area, my zip code, inside 5 miles, and there's not another dealer with inside. Why am I still not first though? When I buy all these spotlights?
That's the Platinum Plus, sir.
Oh, you got to get this.
Yeah, that's a Platinum Plus.
You need
Hey,
more credits.
those people are still above you. Oh, that's the Platinum Plus Plus.
How does that work? I don't know if there's a Carvana right here in Kearney, Missouri, but they're above me.
Oh, well, that's because we called them after you signed up for the Platinum Plus Plus, and they went with the new Platinum Plus Plus Plus.
It came out 8 hours ago. I'm surprised you haven't heard about it yet.
Did you not get the email? It might be in your spam.
Right? You can't be number one in your city that you're the only car dealer in.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You never will be. So damn it.
What happened to the little flyer on the side? Well, we have to talk to you about our side program now.
Carvana also paid more for that, so you're out. Thank you.
But it's like, I think it's funny, and you say that, and when people dive after Google, when people dive after all these different avenues of marketing, most of them turned into auction houses.
Yep.
And it realistically, it has.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly what it is.
It's turned into auction houses, which I think it is hilarious. When we jumped into the marketing space, everyone told us we were fucking crazy for going after social media. Like, it's the hardest avenue. It's changing too fast. You can't keep up with it. You can't do all these things. So my deal also is like, marketing companies are the most hypocritical people on the planet.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
When they would come into us at TDR and they would tell us that, like, hey, we're going to help you build your brand on social, blah, blah, blah. And we pull them up. I'm like, you have 8 followers. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Let's rock.
I'm like,
We're gonna retarget them. I
Yeah.
swear, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be fine.
yeah. And they're
Have
like,
you seen a carousel ad before? Let me show you something.
but they would sit there, they go over all this stuff, and I'm like, you guys have built quite the audience for yourself. Well, why should we listen to you? So it's like, when we went in to actually build an audience for ourselves and really grow actually a brand, it's pretty funny. Like, I've closed so many deals when they're like, well, we also got a bid from these people and they were cheaper. I'm like, great.
That is Dane's favorite thing. They'll say that. Dane's like, great, let's find him on social.
I pull him up.
He's like, He's like, you know they only have 200 followers? Dane's like, just hypothetically, let's look at ours. He's like, I got 11,000. I gained 100 followers today. He's like, I got half their following today.
Yeah.
I'm like, when was the last time they posted? Oh, shit, 9 months ago. They're really, I mean, they're getting after
You know what? That's a good decision. Yes, I think that's what you should do.
I mean, we sat down all the time with the Auto Trader owner.
Oh.
Every day. Owner of Auto Trader King. No, I've never seen him. Have you ever met? I don't even know who it is.
Who's that?
Exactly.
His name's Auto Trader. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you
Oh,
haven't met him.
yeah. He owns
Cock, though.
everything else, too.
Yeah. But it's like, they just keep driving up money, and it just, I mean, their business model of the auction house type deal, it's great, but it's the same thing. We've started getting into like semis and different things of that. And we go in to sell semi trailers, and the guy's like, well, we've just always paid for truck paper. And he goes, we're like, we're going to post you on everything. He's like, Facebook? He goes, I believe in Facebook. We're like, if you have video and stuff, we're going to have you on TikTok, all that. He's like, you think we're going to sell semi trailers on TikTok? I'm like,
Yeah, because a trucker never looks at TikTok while they're on the road 18,000 hours a day.
so I'm like, I go, why? I go, if you have the video, let's just put it out there. And he goes, I know like social media and stuff's like the new wave of what's happening. And we go in there, we've had him for 2 months,
6 weeks.
and we go in there and he's like, you will not believe this shit. he goes, this dude drove in from Excelsior Springs and bought a trailer off of TikTok.
This stupid internet thing's not going to make it. This internet will never work. Come
But
on.
these people are acquiring an audience that's theirs. It's not an auction house. That if they run and operate for 24 months with us and they grow 30,000 followers of who they have, and we step out of the photo, that's their 30,000 followers to do with what they want.
Right.
That's their audience. That's people that's interested in what they do.
And those are 30,000 loyal followers that are interested in exactly what they do.
But it's like, you've built your brand with that. how many salespeople would you have to go out and hit that number of people all the time?
Every day.
A lot.
But it's like when you throw up a video and you can get, like, on YouTube Shorts every day, we hit 6,000 to 7,000 views on M3 podcast shorts. How many salespeople would I have to go hit 6,000 to 7,000 people a day?
Big one. Lots of them.
We have 2,000 plus views a day on our Instagram stories. How many salespeople will we have to go hit those people? We hit 5,000 to 10,000 a day on Facebook on ads that we're running on Facebook. When you start putting all these numbers together, when you're hitting 20,000 people a day, exposure equals traffic equals sales. It's super simple. Like, if you just run that line of any business scales. And it's like Gary Vee is the man that has preached it forever, and everyone watches Gary Vee's shit, but nobody implements what it is.
Right.
He's like, post content every single day. Like right now, he said, he goes, anybody out there that wants to change their life, he goes, next 12 months, post 8 pieces of content every single day for the next 12 months. He goes, I promise you 12 months will not look the same as it does today.
He's like, it is hard. 8 pieces, you do it out. He's like, it's a lot of time.
It's a ton of
he's
time.
Like, you do that. He's like, you'll gain a following, and it'll be your following.
But think about, he puts a roadmap straight here. He's handing you the map. And everyone's like, oh, I watch Gary Vee shit all the time. I'm like, yeah, it shows.
Here's the X, the treasure's here.
Yeah, but I do think devil's advocate, right? Impressions are exactly what they are. There's going to be a lower funnel. The customers that we personally touch, right? So if you had 6,000 impressions of Jaime Tuff touching someone, right?
It's going to be. I do not want to picture that.
Yeah,
Jaime Tuff.
He's actually got soft hands.
You're a liar.
But no, honestly though, devil's advocate, if he's actually having an interaction with that customer and engaging with him, it's going to be a much lower. It's going to be the quality of that impression is going to be a lot different than the video.
100%.
Right? Now, I'm not saying that it's bad by any means. And then going to the Gary Vee thing, 8 pieces of content a day, right? And I think the most difficult part for me with the content is, like, it takes a lot of time, right? You just said that. But the content that Gary Vee puts out to the content that Todd Gentry puts out is completely different. Right, so the content that I'm going to put out, if I'm going to put out 8 pieces, I'm good with that, right? But I also want to try to be, and this is probably where I'm failing too. So I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but I don't know how, right? And figuring out how to put out that kind of content at that level, and what I mean by that level is maybe that quality of having the words down at the bottom, the closed captioning, I guess is what you call it if you're on a TV, but to where it's got like the cool bold letters that says what I'm saying. Like whenever you guys do your shorts of your podcast, right? Yep. You've got it in there, and it's saying what the person's saying. Like you'll take a quote out of a podcast. It's like, hey, this, right? And it's all in there. Like being able to do that would take some time to learn. So it would take a lot of time. So somebody like me, right? I get to work every day around 8:30, right? And I'm there a lot of the times till 8 or 8:30, yep. Right? Sometimes later. And then a lot of the times I don't get done what I need to get done, like the basic data entry and stuff like that. I don't get done what I need to get done. So as soon as I get home, I put my kids to bed, and then I throw the laptop on our kitchen table, which I have another monitor that I can plug in on our kitchen table at my house to try to get the stuff done that I need to get done. So being able to find the time to put the quality out that's going to seem empathetic as well to the customer.
So most people, once again, this is where it goes to overcomplicating. So we're doing a free lead magnet deal for a free digital marketing strategy. So originally I come in, I tell Dre, I was like, hey, I like this ad style. They're like dark on one side. I want photos of us. I want digital marketing on the side. I was like, I need 8 versions of it. Dre works for a couple hours to get all these.
You did not say 8 versions.
So Dre puts all these versions together.
He said 15 versions.
Okay, whatever. But
of 3 different sizes, all built out 100% different.
He works.
Cool.
He works on getting all these built out. Spends hours on it. Gets it all put together. We get them up and running, and I'm spending $20 to $21 a lead on average, which is too high. And
Too high.
So we run that for like 7 days, and I'm watching I'm tracking all like the data coming in. I'm like, it's off. So I literally just grabbed my phone, and I'm laying in the office at the ping pong table. I just put my phone up. I was like, hey, are you looking to scale your business online in the digital space? Don't know where to start? Get our free digital marketing outline right here, going over pay-per-click, going through SEO, going through social media, going through all these different things. Click the link below to claim yours. Literally, that was all I did. I sent it over to Dalton. I said, post it, change the content on it, and get it rolling. We're now at less than $7 a lead. So now I'm getting 3 leads to every one I was getting with content that actually took me a fraction of the time.
Right.
Okay, so there's a great business plan, right? You take a guy like me or a guy like Jamie, and you provide your service to where I can send you that video, and you can do the click link below, because I have no freaking clue how to do that.
Have you heard of Edit Yeti?
Yeah. Well, maybe I haven't. You know, clearly I have not. No. So
no, but it's definitely
you know what I'm
something
saying?
like,
because I really do. Like, I don't want to post a bullshit video because I do care.
Right.
And you know, I don't want to just post something that it doesn't really mean anything, right? Because you know. And I know we've talked about this in different calls and meetings, and we've read it in books where, you know, you just have to post it no matter how good the video looks or whatever it is. I get that.
I will say, though, like, I am not an advocate of people just going out posting trash content. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I do think with the iPhones that we have nowadays, things like that, video quality is not an excuse anymore.
But
Like, if
I will say, diving into Alex Hormozy, he says, he's like, when you start pushing out content, he's like, it's quantity over quality. He's like, you throw as much out as possible, and he's like, the people will tell you what they want to see. And from there, you dial back in onto the quality of what that stuff is, and then he's like, then you expand on it. And once you expand on that, he's like, that is what will lead out. He's like, used to, if I put out 10 videos on something that were low quality, but people wanted to see, he's like, my viewership was down. He's like, now I put out 1 to every 10 videos of the quality that I want out, and he's like, my viewership skyrockets off those videos.
Which that's just listening to your audience. Right. It's listening to what the data is telling you coming across. Like, I don't think impressions are everything, but there is something to be said that when you get enough exposure, things happen.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
If you get enough eyeballs on anything you do, good, bad, and different,
exactly,
eyeballs win. Like,
well, remember I messed up with David. Like, he said something, and we're like, "Oh, we're getting these comments. Let's take it down." And it's like, "Oh man, but they had so many views and like that."
Oh,
and they're like, "Justin, we're talking about that," and I'm like, "You're like, dude, just let it go." Big guy, big truck, big guy. And they loved it.
Yeah,
loved it. I'll just stay out of the way.
Some of the best.
I'll sell shit. You get it out to the people.
Yeah, and that's realistically like,
you do what you do.
A lot of our biggest like shorts and stuff on YouTube that have taken off is people just like roasting me. Like, I had some dude, like, I was talking about like finding success, and some dude that like Superman 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 with no profile picture sat, and he was like, I don't know how you're going to talk about success with fucking that stomach sitting on that waistband or some shit. Like, there's always somebody that has some shit to say, but it's also like, what kind of exposure is that person getting?
Yeah.
Fucking zero?
Yeah.
Like,
hey,
what?
Hey, sir.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. It's like, what are they doing to move the needle forward?
Yeah.
They're not hiring people every fucking week trying to scale a business. They're not doing that thing. It's people like that live in the world, and
they're not doing Taco Tuesday.
No, but it's like,
I can't blame you for that, because you're rocking the Taco Tuesday.
Here's a great one. Babe Ruth.
Yeah. Look at
Babe Ruth.
Greatest players.
The loudest boos come from the cheapest seats.
100%.
Right, and I believe that 100%. It's absolutely true. You know, and
in every business you're in, really.
Yeah, I can take the criticism. I don't care. Call me fat. Call me ugly. You know, I got a big nose. I got a butt chin. You know, I know all of my flaws.
Todd's going full deep.
Don't roast yourself.
Can we talk about it?
We're going into podcast number 2, Todd.
Here's the thing, though.
Here.
No, but I'm being serious. We all know our flaws. It doesn't matter. You're not going to tell me anything.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of stuff, it doesn't get to me. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, tell me. That's fine. I welcome it. All right? I still love you. Right? I love everybody. It's fine. You're having a terrible day. Today I went through Arby's, right?
Yeah.
Yes, today it happened. I just needed something quick to eat, right? So I was
Somebody
like, all
called
right.
you out on your chin.
No, so yes, they did. No, I was like, you know what? I'll just grab a salad from Arby's, right? So I just roll through the lot, and I pull up there, and she's like, "What can I get you?" I'm like, "Nothing," and I drove right by the window and waved at her and gave her the nicest smile that I could possibly give her, and I went on about my day. I didn't write a review, didn't do any of that shit. That stuff doesn't bother me.
You didn't write a review.
No, and then guess what happened?
Now we're going to clip it and make a little short you're going to post.
Yeah, hey, ladies at Arby's, Liberty, here's the address, right off Footlock. She was terrible.
I actually went above and beyond and got you a video. And
So I went to Sprouts Farmers Market.
You made MMG
grabbed me some $5 sushi, and I was happy.
yeah.
But no, I don't.
But
those
that
people
was
don't bother
also
me.
that
you
was
know?
healthier for you. So that actually,
I don't know.
Sprouts sushi than Arby's. Did you say which one's healthier?
Guess what? When I went to the checkout, the lady was extremely slow, but she was the nicest lady I ran across all day today.
And you'll go back because of that.
Well,
You'll
yeah.
wait a little bit longer.
Yeah,
Maybe not
although
for
I'm a little
maybe
upset.
not for
with-
the sushi, but
I'm a little upset with Sprouts.
Okay.
It was one of my first investments
Do you-
as a
do you want to talk
trader,
about
and
it?
it was terrible. It was a bad deal.
Back to we'll do what we do. Let them do what they do. Right. So I learned that the hard way too.
What did you say, Dre?
Thought you down there in the peanut gallery.
Hey, speaking
so-
of investments, real quick, we were talking about this the other day. Do you guys still have Dogecoin?
All of it.
All of it.
So, right?
I'm still
We do what
up.
we do. They do what they do. We're sitting in the locker room, actually in the sauna, all of us, and you're like, bro, I got like 50 grand in Dogecoin today. What the hell? It's going to hit $1. Dude, just sell it. Nope. Going to hit $1.
Hey,
Hey, realistically,
Long
what
term.
would that have changed? Realistically,
You got 50,000 instead
I had
I pay off-
$50.
pay off
short-term capital gains
Yeah.
on that,
You
bro.
had $50.
I would have been boned.
$50.
$50 that you have now?
Great. No, I'm actually still up on my initial
I
investment
still have $5,500.
by over $2,000.
Hey, I'm just saying. It's
Hey.
not even a real thing. I'm just saying.
Hey,
I look at
a lot of people pay a lot more for hopes and dreams.
yeah.
And guess what?
Guess
At
what?
least I have mine.
High five on that.
My initial investment
Monetary value.
was $800. I'm still at $5,500.
Winning.
I'm still up. I told everyone when they bought it was a long-term thing.
Well, it could have been a short term.
It should have been a short term.
Yeah,
Just saying. But who
200
cares?
to 28,000. Good
I
investment.
know. One of these
It was
days,
a great conversation while we're sitting in the locker room.
one of these days,
I'll remember
a
the rest of
long
my
time from
life.
now.
Have you guys heard of NFTs?
Oh, here we go. Yeah, matter of fact, your brother over here is an artist.
Actually, Dane got me to buy my first NFT.
I do have
and
a-
right now. I am down about 90%.
I am pretty down on my NFT.
How's your Mickey Mouse thing doing? Or
It's
NFT,
also down about
okay.
90%.
I would say I have the whole Batman collection. I got a lot. in
Let me tell you
NFTs.
guys something, though. You guys are amazing at media marketing. You guys
Thank
do
you.
a great job.
Thank you.
I will say that.
100%. I agree with you, Jamie.
You're in that market, you stay in that market, and you just keep rocking and rolling. We also know guys that are really good at investing.
Yep, that's true.
We should probably let them do their
I will say, anytime
we're all pretty decent at selling, but this is what we do on a daily basis. And
that's true.
you know,
You three.
we're gonna we're gonna let you guys do what you do.
Dre's a CFO.
We heard.
I play with money.
Props. I'm glad you've learned. You've come a long ways from when I used to have to buy you lunch. So that's good.
Yeah.
No.
Now I buy
Hey,
his lunch.
Yeah, not Dane buys it.
I know.
Hey, I don't know if you guys learned the first thing about investing or finance. If someone's willing to pay for it, let him pay for it.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
That's why the rich stay
Makes
rich.
sense now.
So we're talking about the
call that-
shorts and the reels. Yeah, that's the one you put in there.
We call that alligator. Oh, the bill comes out. Oh,
No, that's T-Rex. I can't reach my pockets.
no pockets.
That's gonna be your new profile pic.
T-Rex.
With the animated picture.
You know, a better one is you just don't wear pants when you go out to eat. Because if you have no pockets, you have nowhere to keep your money.
Yeah, my
I don't
wife
think
doesn't
you
like
get
that.
into the restaurant.
Yeah, they're like, I got no pockets.
No, it's
no
no
pants.
shoes, no shirt, no service. It's
Nothing about pants.
That's about
nothing
me.
about pants.
You should try it. You should try it. We'll get back to it.
Yeah.
Great news.
Jamie's arrested.
Damn it again.
Hey guys, after this, maybe we should go to Red Door.
See how it works.
Plug the
None of us
video.
wore pants. We were not paying. Sorry.
Jamie's running. to
Nobody
Red
has
Door.
pockets.
Damn it! I wore my cowboy boots.
All right.
Sorry.
Well,
Off track. Sorry.
I think this podcast could probably go on for hours. I know we have cameras dinging everywhere that are going down one after another. I don't even know when the fuck we started.
Ricky didn't charge him. It's his fault.
Yeah. We need bigger. We need bigger batteries.
Any
So
final questions?
wear pants when you go, or don't wear pants when you go out to eat.
Just leave your wallet.
Yeah, Dre is good at that. We're not like we don't listen to us on finance advice.
This is not a financial podcast.
This is your disclosure. You can listen to them on the car stuff. They are professionals in that, and I would say we could claim to be professionals in what we do. I think when somebody pays you for something, you're a professional. So
That's exactly right.
we'll take it.
Yeah, you are definitely pros.
Nobody pays me for my geology degree, so I'm not going to say I'm a professional.
Well, Rockford Jocks worked out just fine.
Yeah.
You knew what that plan was the whole time.
But somehow he gets a discount on his insurance.
That's what I was working for the whole time.
Yep.
That insurance discount.
That long-term game, I get it.
Long term. I don't think it really counteracts for my student loan payment. So, but
Okay.
any final thoughts?
I think a good sum to this is
Llamas.
llamas. Absolutely llamas.
I'm gonna plug that video that I sent you.
R.I.P. Clarice. Yeah, Clementine's still pumping though, baby.
Yeah.
Keeping the herd safe. Yeah. Coyote comes around, she just ready to roll, baby. No, but I really do. So stuff like this is super beneficial for me, and I think that efficiency and process are the two things. I mean, you gave me some good stuff. The Rob Dyrdek thing with managing your. I spend instead of 4% of my money, right? 4% of my that. I'm literally going to be driving my head into the wall when I go.
I work with this guy every single day. He literally sits across from me at the same office, same desk, kind of. We made it into one desk. He literally is not going to sleep tonight. And then tomorrow I'll be like, how you feel today, bud? I'm a little tired. Trying to figure out how I only have to work 4% of my life.
So he had a software engineer build out his whole entire own calendar deal that tracks all of his time of what he spends on everything he does, and he has everything mapped out. This is going to be really weird that I'm going to tell you to watch this podcast because Madison referred it to me, and they do a lot of other I don't know what their podcast is about, but they had Rob on the Skinny Confidential. It's a husband and a wife, and they had Rob on, and he talked about his process of how he lives and everything. I'll say it's
Eye opener.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see somebody operate at that kind of level and still run such a balanced life.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of times people kind of lose a lot of those important pieces getting there. That when you keep a set eye on that as you're going, makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I'm going to study that for sure.
Me too.
But
Actually, I'm going to let him study.
then
I'm going
report to you.
because he's just going to tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll spend that time doing that, and Jamie's going to spend his time buying cars that we sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a trade-off, right?
Jamie's like,
Trade
great, I get the spark notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need those. Those are the quickest.
Jamie's like, now, what did they say in the podcast
Watch how
last
efficient I
night?
am. Todd, what did you learn last night? Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
That was great. What time did you go to bed?
Who needs sleep?
I slept great last night.
Full 12 hours.
Yeah.
No,
Bring me another seafood.
I don't ever sleep for 12 hours.
You don't ever drink
I drink
sleep
too much. I mean, as you can see. But no 12 hours. Ever.
Only 5 hours.
That's exactly right.
I can only sleep 12 hours in Minnesota. That's another story, though.
I'm going to need a lot more of these if you want me to sleep for 12 hours.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
Jamie, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I always enjoy doing this, and I appreciate you guys. Again, I'm going to go back to the first time I was on and I talked about I'm so proud of you two and how far you guys have come. It's amazing, and it's really cool for me to see that. Watching the first time I meet Dane with his sweet cut-off shirt, cut down to his belt with his boots, out there, hard worker.
I was a little skinnier then.
Yeah, a lot. But, I'm like, look at this little douchebag.
What a dick.
Come to find out, he's a pretty cool fucking guy.
Yeah, I ate that Dane.
Yeah. But for
He
real,
lives inside
I
me.
am really proud of you two for where you guys have gone, and it's really cool to see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So
MMG.
that is
Call
going
them.
to sum it up. I definitely dig this, having cigars and sitting in the garage, so I love the change of scenery. But that is going to sum it up for this M3 podcast. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.